Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. We're back here at Jaguar Land Rover St. Pete, and guess what? I'm very proud to say that you guys have been asking for this vehicle, and because we don't give up here on Rady's Rides tracking them down, we now have it for you. It's this vehicle right here. This is a 2023 Rivian R1S Adventure Edition. But before we get into this electrified off-road three-row SUV, let's talk about what's going on here. Lots of craziness in the auto industry with many brands going full steam into electric vehicles. Now, one of the vehicles that really has stood out has been from GMC, the GMC Hummer EV truck and the recent GMC Hummer EV SUV. The reason why I mention those two vehicles is not only because of their popularity, but because of that Hummer name. And now with the SUV version, they have an off-road capable electrified vehicle. With Rivian, they started off with that truck. And if you haven't seen the Rivian truck review that we did here on Rady's Rides, I'll leave it at the end of this one. But what I want to do is I want to show you all the details on this R1S Adventure Edition, but I also want to find out, is this the better way to go over the GMC Hummer EV SUV? Let's go ahead, let's dive into this black on black Rivian and find out. Right off the bat, the proportions. It really is a mid-size SUV. This is not a full-size SUV, even though it does have 3 rows. Now, at the front of the business, I like the way they brought their unique style from the truck to their SUV. You'll see you have your LED daytime running lamps, and this goes all the way across the front end of the vehicle. We have that unique oval shape to the headlights. So all your headlights are nicely nestled in there, full LED, low beams and high beams, of course. You have LED turn signals, and I love the way it highlights that whole inside design, really makes it unique. As we work our way down, we have LED fog lamps and functional corner air curtains. This does have some nice flat black. And what's great is that this has an air lifting suspension. So you could actually get more or less ground clearance with this particular vehicle. You'll notice the aluminum style tow hooks to pull those GMC Hummers out of the mud. And then as we come across the front end, it's kind of love it or hate it design. I don't know where I stand. I actually feel that the GMC Hummer EV SUV is the better looking of the two, but you have your front mounted trunk area, which this obviously rises and lowers with the opening of the frunk. We do have functionality in the center with those active shutters and a forward facing camera. And then you'll notice underneath how you have that shape to get extra ground clearance, a better approach angle and departure angle out back. But this thing could go through about 3 feet of water with no issues. At least that's what Rivian says. Now, as we rise up, I love the unique badge that Rivian has. Very, very nicely done with the yellow and the silver. And then simple, clean body lines. You have U-shaped indentation in the center, and everything else just has a nice overall truck, rugged SUV feel. As we come around the bend, what are we working wheel and tire setup? I love these optional, almost like a black chrome finish wheel. It's gloss black with this gunmetal sort of black chrome finish. You got the Rivian name, the Rivian badge, and that massive 6-piston caliper. Love the bright yellow. Reminds me of a nice large Twinkie. Hopefully when you step on the brakes, they don't squirt cream everywhere. We want to get some nice braking capability, and you will with this vehicle because you do also have regen braking to help with the battery pack. I'm going to have Steven zoom back in on this backside and show the air suspension that we have. You can see it clearly from that angle. And then another thing you'll notice, wrapped around these wheels are these Scorpion, Pirelli Scorpion off-road spec tire. You have the full shielding all the way around. This is a 20-inch wheel, 275 on the width, 65 series sidewall. Little bit different setup than what you find on the Hummer EV. Now, coming down the side, you do have some flat black. Let me know how you feel about that, if you think this should all be painted body color. I'm gonna have Steven kind of swing around because not only do we have a functional side air curtain, but you also have your 360-degree cameras. There's actually a camera built into that trim to help you on the trails. On your mirror caps, these are power folding. I like the way they did the lighting, just like up front, the LED lighting. You do have your cameras built into the mirrors as well. Those electrically fold. And you have the Rivian badge that pops off nicely. Now from the side, you can see that this is a mid-size SUV. I really thought it was just 2 rows. I'm very curious to see how the heck they fit a 3rd row into this vehicle. But from the side, you have a little bit of shiny, bright metalwork that runs across the top here. No roof rails, so that's gonna help us with overall drag and not making a bunch of noise when you're driving down the road. You'll also notice the flat black along the bottom here. And then I'm sure you're probably questioning, well, Joe, what's going on with these door handles? Why are they stuck out like this? When I lock the vehicle, everything tucks in. So you have that nice flush door handle set up to this. Really, really makes it clean. Coming to the rear, I'm glad they didn't put a bunch of trim around the rear glass. You got your side Rivian badge to let people know that you are driving something very new, very futuristic. Of course, we have 4 motor technology. So the Hummer EV SUV has 2. The EV truck you could get with 3. This has 4. 1 motor at each corner. I'm gonna have Steven swing around and show you. I love the belt line, how it comes into the rear fender. Really, really nicely done. Great job on the LED lighting as well. Their lighting is spot on. Now, Steven is not a fan of the lighting going all the way across. I'm digging it. Nice, big, bold Rivian name. There's our R1S badge. That's the name of this SUV. And the particular trim is known as the Adventure Edition because of those off-road tires. We come drop down to ground level, and here's where you could really see how they cleaned up that lower bumper area to give you a nice departure angle. And you also have lighting for your reverse lights and everything on the bottom portion with a little bit of aluminum trim. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop that frunk and see how much room there is and talk about power of this Rivian. All right, guys, time to get into the front mounted trunk area. I got the key fob, I hit the button, nice electric assist. What you're gonna find is plenty of usable space. You have your nice little briefcase for your charging accessories. And boy, oh boy, does somebody know us here at Rady's Rides. You could fit that box of Twinkies in there, plus some in this trunk area. But what do we exactly have? So when you look at this vehicle, it's getting power with 4 electric motors, 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds, quarter mile in 11.6 seconds at 111 miles per hour. On a DC fast charger, it can charge from 10% to 90% in 61 minutes. And then ground clearance, believe it or not, you're looking at 14.9 inches of ground clearance, and it could go through 3 feet of water. MPGEs, 69 in the city, 60 on the highway, and the total range is 289 miles. Now, that's on this particular one. You can get extended range batteries as well for the vehicle, but this particular one has the standard battery, which is 289 mile range. I click the button, it drops on down, but why don't we go ahead, let's turn this thing on and see it roll. All right, guys, we are inside this 2023 Rivian R1S Adventure Edition. Now, like I had pointed out, and I know you're saying, well, Joe, I'm liking this SUV. I'm not so sure about the range. If you want a longer extended range battery, it costs about $6,000 to add that. So that's something to think about that this one does not have. What we do have, though, remember, are the quad motors. 4 motors producing 835 horsepower, 908 pound-feet of torque. That's what gives us that 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds. Now, if you're wondering, well, Joe, how much does this thing weigh? It weighs a tick under 7,000 pounds. But here comes the other piece of information, especially if you're looking at a GMC Hummer EV SUV. MSRP, the way that you see this one, is right around $82,000. Now, when you compare that to a Hummer EV, those are over $100,000. They say cheaper ones are gonna come, but those aren't available yet. So, kind of bit of a difference, $20,000 basically worth the difference between this and the Hummer. But let's see what you get if you go Rivian to the door panels. I love the materials, the soft touch, the stitching, the real wood trim, really classy without being too over the top. No gloss black, some nice brushed aluminum on the door handle and that silver trim where the armrest is. And then you have that door pocket down there. Easily get, I would say, 7 pieces of toast avocado style. So avocado toast, 7 of them in there, no problem. And you have that upgraded sound system. Now going from the door panel to the dash, same thing. Soft material, love the real wood. Just be careful because if you rub your wood too hard, you're gonna get splinters. So just be careful on that. We got the Rivian name. You can see how it says Adventure Forever. That's what it's all about, is being on an adventure. And then you slide on in and you have a ginormous infotainment system. Now what I like about it is that it's horizontal, not portrait style like you find on a Tesla. And I like the fact that it's integrated. Of course, you got your full navigation and everything. Here's what's really cool. So you're gonna go ahead and hit this screen here, and this allows you to go into your different modes. And here's all the different modes. Plus you could adjust. So there's the modes from sport, conserve, off-road, towing. Then you could adjust your ride height, your ride softness, the regen braking, and your stability control. Remember, in the highest setting, which is over here, your ride height, you go in the highest setting, that's about 15 inches of ground clearance. That's massive. You got your AC vents blended in nicely. Down below, you could put easily 2 Nerf footballs, and you have a removable, look at this, take it with you, a removable Rivian branded Bluetooth speaker. So if you're at the beach and you're kicking around the soccer ball, you can listen to your tunes before Johnny and the rest of the crew come to kick your butt after they break the girl that you like, her radio. What am I talking about? What movie? Put it down in the comment section. But there is a movie where poor Daniel is playing some soccer and some music goes off, and then Johnny comes and breaks the music. Johnny's not gonna be able to break this. I don't care how much the Cobra Kai has trained him. And it's got the Rivian name here, which is very nice. Look at that. Show him, Steven. Rivian name. And then what's cool is you just take it and you slide it right back in. So you got a nice little tray here for some Tic Tacs, maybe some Mentos. And you can put your phone here. This is how you can do it, like this. Like, doop, just like that. Here's your Rivian key fob. No, you cannot go mountain climbing with this. It's not one of those, but it does look like it, doesn't it? All your switch gear, soft material. Open that up. What do we have? Enough room for a box of Twinkies. And somebody wrote here, if the Twinkie doesn't fit, then it's not legit. But you get a full box of Twinkies. There's felt lining and 2 USB-Cs in there. So you don't have to worry about scratching your Twinkie. Drop that down. And then the seats. These are stunning. I love the way they got all the special trim, the stitching, the Rivian name. Great style. Full electric assist for the passenger, of course. And then, as to be expected, full electric assist for the driver. And we have this ginormous glass roof. It doesn't open, and there's no shade, which is a zonk, that there's no shade. But it's nicely tinted, and you have this microfiber Alcantara material, which is great. But why don't you come over to the business end? I got a flat bottom steering wheel with the Rivian badge on it. Come on over. All right, guys, business time. Now, the reason why I have the door not open all the way is I wanted to show you, look what's in there. No, this is not a lightsaber. That would have been cool. Anyways, this is a Rivian flashlight, LED flashlight. And what's cool is it charges in the door panel, nice and bright. Just a nice little fun feature there. And then it pops. Look at that. Boom, pops right in, easy peasy. Look at how far the door opens though. Nice and wide, and I like the way it's got this sort of pull lid so you could get your avocado toast out of the compartment. Now, down in the pedal box, they did it right at Rivian. Nice large aluminum dead pedal, brake pedal, and throttle. You got the Rivian name, nice and bright there. And then there's your seat controls, easy to get to. And the seats are phenomenal. Love the seats, they look good, they feel good. Steering wheel, simplicity. Flat bottom, not a bunch of buttons all over the place. You got your thumb controls for whatever you want to control. It does tilt and it is telescoping, all power of course. And then you got that nice large digital gauge cluster, which you could bring up your Google Maps. You could bring up all sorts of information and of course your range down there. The one thing this does not have that I'm gonna have to zonk is there's no head-up display. And in an $82,000 electric SUV, where's that important piece of technology? But let's go ahead, this has got 3 rows. Let's get to the mid row because I wanna see how much space there is back there for your passengers in the Rivian. All right guys, we're in the back seat in this BEV. What does a BEV stand for? Battery electric vehicle. This is a full electric vehicle. Now, the backs of the seats, I like the materials. You do have pockets, easily put, I would say 2, maybe 3 Game Boys in there with Tetris, Super Mario Brothers, Excite Bike. You got a little bit of a coat hanger. So if you have your cashmere vest, you could hang your vest on the back. What's great about this being an electric vehicle is look, the floor is totally flat. That's gonna give us more leg room. You have your little command center back here to adjust the seat controls. You got heated seats, ventilated seats, and all the AC controls, 2 USB-Cs and AC vents. I got plenty of room on this side, and what's wonderful is that if you need more room, you could go less, you could go more, plus you could tilt it as well. So you got a little bit of a lean going on here, nice amount of space, and of course we have a center armrest. I just love the way they did all the stitching and everything. 2 cup holders. Let's see, does this open? Oh, that's a bummer. I was hoping that this was gonna open to put some Skittles in there, but that does not open. That's a missed opportunity. But it is comfy, and I like the way they use the same material for the back seat. But why don't we go ahead, let's get into the 3rd row and see how much room there is in this Rivian. All right, guys, 3rd row time, and what's great is that you have some room because this is a BEV. My knees are not that high because of how low the floor is, and I think that's the saving grace of this 3rd row. I do get my own separate, you hear that? My own separate glass roof, so I could get my vitamin D back here. I want some Sunny D right about now. I used to love that stuff as a kid. We do have rear AC vents, and what's nice is I'm gonna have Steven show you, you have these cute little compartments here. They have USB-Cs. You could put easily, I would say, 6 or 7 payday bars, maybe a few Snickers king size bars in there, and you have cup holders, which are great. But sitting back here, I'm actually surprised is not that bad. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in the cargo area and see how much we could haul in this Rivian. All right, guys, back cargo time. Now, before we just jump in, I just want to touch on this one more time, how you don't have a spoiler coming off the back. So there's really nowhere to place this rear wiper. So normally I would zonk it, but because they don't have a place to put it, there's not much I could do there. I do like the way they blended in the 3rd brake light very cleanly at the top of the rear liftgate. Now to get in, you could press buttons, you could do whatever you want. I'm just gonna hit right on the key fob a couple times, and then it's gonna have a nice electric assist. Now this has that sort of loading pad system like we have shown you on some BMWs. The one thing that's kind of weird is it's not powered. You actually have to pull it down. But once it's down, it gives you nice space to access, well, not only nice space, but nice access to the rear cargo space. We do have the 3rd row up. Just to show you how much room we have, you have your subwoofer on one side, and then on the other side, we have our buttons, but these are not buttons to get down the 3rd row. This is for the mid row. I also like the way they have this sliding track system to where you could put a cargo net, have certain holders here, and then adjust the tracks very easily. Underneath the cargo area, we do have storage. So you got your charging accessories. You could put 3 boxes of Twinkies, especially for those longer hauls. My big zonk is right now. This is where the zonk is. We have manual adjustments on the rear seats, and they're kind of a pain to get to because of this. So you have to go like that, and then you come over to this side. Now the good news is Steven can show you what I was experiencing in the third row. You have the nice materials on the armrest. There's the rear AC vents, which are nice touch there. To get the mid-row down, you do have buttons. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit those buttons over here to put the mid-row down. And you can see how those fold down very nicely. Now, just one thing to be aware of, this is not totally flat. It's totally flat up here, but you do have a ledge. So if you're getting that 50-gallon barrel of pickles because you're having your annual October Halloween pickle eating competition, just be aware that when you're rolling the 50-gallon drum in, you're gonna have to go up and over that ledge to get all of the 50-gallon drums that you buy. Because I know normally you told me you buy about 4 or 5 of those, so you're gonna have to just roll to get it over. But why don't we go ahead, I'm gonna leave that like that. The big zonk, the reason why I'm not closing this is to put all those seats back up, you gotta do it manually. And that really is a pain in the rear end. But why don't we go ahead, after I got this thing all buttoned up, let's go on throttle and see how quick this Rivian R1S really is. All right, guys, we are inside this 2023 Rivian R1S Adventure Edition. Really, really nice just how easy it is to navigate through this whole system. You do have your shifter on the column for that direct drive transmission. And I just think it's so simplistic the way that they have the different modes. And then you can make your adjustments individually for ride comfort, the regen braking, and things like stability control. Now, we do have it in the lowest ride height setting, which gives us 9.5 inches of ground clearance. That automatically happens when you go into sport mode. But if you're ready, I'm ready. I want to show you the on-throttle acceleration of this thing. Are you ready? On throttle, here we go. And that really is the freaking most fun part about driving one of these, especially with the quad motor setup, is that with over 800 horsepower, she gets up and goes very, very fast. And I think for most people who have never felt that instant torque, it just blows their mind. After a while, I have to admit, it does get old. But driving the Rivian, even with those off-road tires, very smooth, very comfy, even in sport mode. I like the way I have the navigation on the left side of the display, and then you have that augmented reality in the middle, and then your speedometer on the right. So very, very nicely set up with how this vehicle operates and how it gets information to you. You'll hear that ding dong, that's the lane keep assist, letting you know that you're going out of the lane. And I think that's the other nice thing about this Rivian, or really any Rivian, is they use very nice sounds for all the noises in the cabin. Even your turn signal, it's just a nice little thud. It's not this allowing this annoying dong sound that some other vehicles have. But there's no arguing with the performance of this vehicle. But you know what? You get into a Hummer EV SUV, it has over 800 horsepower. So kind of even Stevens on the performance side of things. Where it really is going to come up into play is all the other things that the EV SUV can do, especially with its tighter turning circle radius compared to this. But you do have 3-row flexibility, which in the Hummer EV SUV, you do not get that. It's only a 2-row. But like I said, going down the road, not a lot of road noise, not a lot of wind noise. A lot of that has been shut out. The outside world has been shut out in this vehicle. Because of it being an EV, they want to give you optimum peace and quiet and sound quality on the interior. But like I said, getting to the infotainment system, well within reach, all the different camera angles. You ready? On throttle, here we go. All grip and no slip. Kind of cool how you can have those cameras up while you're driving. Don't get distracted though, that's a big no-no. But even for 7,000 pounds, it handles very, very well. very, very smooth. The air ride suspension does a great job. If I go into a different mode, say I go into off-roading mode, we go off-road. Now what it's gonna do is it's actually going to take us and lift us up. So that really is the great part, that it's all an automatic thing. You could go back into conserve. That now is gonna adjust the ride height, or you could go all purpose, which is a nice general overall setup. That would be more like your normal. But you definitely feel the regen braking. You do have one pedal operation, no feet on the pedals, and it is coming to a stop. So you have that one pedal braking operation. But really smooth, comfortable. The only problem that I'm having with this is that while you're driving it, it doesn't really have an identity. It makes electric sounds just like any other SUV out there. So that's one thing to remember with this vehicle. But what I really like is how you could automatically adjust the regen braking on the fly. That makes it to where if you don't want it to be on high regen braking, you don't have to be, which standard seems enough. I'm gonna put it on high. It's pretty intense. The regen braking is pretty intense. So I'm gonna keep it on standard. So just something to be aware of when you're driving one of these. Of course, you can go into your ride height adjustments very easily on the right-hand side of the screen. Lock and unlock are in the screen. So I can unlock the doors, I can lock the doors from the screen itself. But I do like the way I have an actual digital gauge cluster. And I like the way it's got a horizontal, even though it's a massive screen, it's horizontal and it's integrated very nicely. But once you figure out all the bells and whistles in this thing, it's actually very simple to navigate through. Seats are comfy, heated, ventilated, of course. And you got that 3-row flexibility that the Hummer just does not have. But hopefully this has been a nice overall review of the Rivian R1S Adventure Edition. We're gonna get back to where it all started and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, been another great day here at Jaguar Land Rover St. Pete. Definitely want to thank Miro, Michael, and the rest of the team getting us access to this Rivian R1S Adventure Edition. Let me know what you think. Has Rivian created the right special sauce for electrified mid-sized 3-row SUV fun, or are you willing to go a different direction with the GMC Hummer EV SUV? Let me know down in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Radius Rides family. Of course, we need to give it up. Stephen Flood Photography. He's making it happen. Follow him on Instagram. He wants to try to get to that 10,000 follower mark on Instagram. Give him a follow. He'll really appreciate it. Thank you, Stephen, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.